Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Mariyam. I'm an inclusion lead working for a British school here in Abu Dhabi. So, today I want to walk you through an instructional leadership initiative I led in my school. When I took over this role, we were facing a massive operational compliance crisis. So, today I'm going to show you how we turned that crisis into a transparent, data driven system that actually supports our teachers and even gives our students the equity that they deserve. So let's start with what leadership actually means today. So historically, as Bush points out, it was just seen as bureaucratic administrative job. But modern instruction leadership shifts this focus entirely to a classroom impact and helping teachers grow. Now, as Robinson, Lloyd, and Rove argue, the best leaders are the ones who get hands on with teacher professional learning. Now, this is incredibly critical in special education. Bayes and Crockett, they talk about a compliance paradox where inclusion coordinators, they get so bogged down in paperwork and ticking boxes that they get completely cut off from the classroom. Now, true leadership means translating that paperwork into real daily teaching. So, to fix our system, I looked at these three classic models to see what we could steal from each. So, the first one, the Hallinger and Murphy model, it's excellent for structure. It focuses heavily on setting a clear school mission and managing the program. It gives you great accountability, but it can easily turn into micromanagement if you aren't careful. Now, on the other hand, Weber's model, it focuses on building a positive school climate while Murphy's framework is all about growing teacher capacity from the ground up. So for our strategy, we blended them. We took Hallinger's strict tracking and balanced it with the supportive, collaborative environment from Weber and Murphy. But how do you actually roll this out without burning people out? This is where Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence framework comes in. Goleman says great leaders don't just use one style, they switch gears based on what's happening. So I used an authoritative style to set our vision for edX standards. But quickly, I had to shift to a democratic style. So teachers could help me co-design the new tools. Now, when things got stressful, I used an affiliative approach to keep morale up while constantly coaching to build long-term teaching skills. Now, this matches with Hersey and Blanchard's situation leadership model. Now, by reading the room and figuring out who was confident and who was struggling, I knew exactly when to give direct guidance and when to just step back and let our inclusion champions run with it. So, to understand why this mattered, you have to look at the mess I walked into. So, we are high performing British school here in Abu Dhabi, UAE. We are operating under strict ADC rules. But when I took over, there were no student records and absolutely no tracking for IEP. So we had no formal identification list. IEPs were sitting in isolated files that regular teachers never even saw. And we couldn't track daily progress. So we were completely exposed for inspections, and worse, we couldn't prove our students were actually progressing. To fix it, we built a centralized digital app specifically for our department. Now, this is the interface of our app. We build the new system on four basic pillars. First, an identification matrix. So we use clear academic metrics to refer students instead of just labeling them. So second, a diagnostic tool to map out every student's cognitive and sensory profile. And third, we launched collaborative IP, meaning we took those clinical targets and tied them directly to daily lesson plans. So teachers also knew like exactly what to do. And finally, we rolled out a dynamic progress log. So this is a live shared digital document where teachers input real-time data that updates the department and parents instantly. So getting a tired teaching staff to adapt to a brand new system is tough. So to do it right, I used Cotter's eight-step model and Michael Fullen's change force theory. I created immediate urgency by being honest about our compliance gaps before upcoming inspections. So then I built a coalition by getting our grade level leaders on board. So to remove all the blocks, I didn't give them extra paperwork. I embedded our new templates right into the lesson plans they were already writing. I also leaned into Fullen's idea of moral purpose. I kept reminding everyone that this tracker wasn't a compliance gimmick. It was about giving our kids a fair shot. So I built trust by being in the classrooms, helping them, and kept everything transparent through our digital network. Now, of course, it wasn't a smooth ride from day one. If you look at Tuckman's team stages, we definitely hit a storming phase where teachers felt the friction of changing their routine. But by supporting them, we moved past that into norming and performing. Now, the real secret here is Harris and Spillane's concept of distributed leadership. Now, inclusion can never be one person job where a coordinator sits in an office and manages everything. Now, leadership has to be stretched across the whole school, like by handing the ownership of student progress back to the classroom teachers. We broke down those old walls and built shared accountability. Now, this entire backend system exists for one reason to change what happens inside the classroom. So, it takes complex diagnostic data and turns it into real everyday differentiation, just like Tom Linson talks about. So, it shows teachers exactly how to chunk tasks, how to build metacognition, and use assistive technology. So, we focus heavily on active learning. Teachers now they intentionally use strategies like three-step questioning to give students extra time to process information. They use reciprocal questioning to build speech confidence, and they use structured peer teaching in small groups to help our determination students learn vocabulary faster. So we also completely changed how we look at grading and testing. We moved away from high stakes exam snapshots and focused on continuous formative loops, which Black and William prove is how students actually learn. So this completely changed our relationship with parents. So in the past, parent meetings could get emotional or subjective because we lacked hard data. But with our life progress log, those conversations completely transformed. Like parents can see exactly what IP goals we are working on, like on weekly basis or maybe sometimes every month or for each term. Now turning our meetings into a collaborative, evidence-based team review. Now, on a personal note, this project forced a massive shift in how I view myself. So, I used to think like an isolated classroom teacher, relying on my own immediate skills to fix problems on the go. But this initiative forced me to step up and think like a systemic instructional leader, like much like Harlinger's model. I realized that if you want lasting equity, you need reliable shared data systems. So while discovered my strength is translating big policies into practical tools, my biggest area of growth was learning to drop the high pressure, anxious pace setting habit and learn to trust my team through distributed leadership. So the results have been incredibly rewarding. We hit 100% compliance on our student files, cut down teacher planning drag for differentiation by 85%, and parent satisfaction skyrocketed. So the biggest hurdle has been initiative fatigue, as I mentioned. So teachers are incredibly busy, and when you introduce a new digital tracker, the initial reaction is often resistant because it feels like extra admin work. So we also struggled with data consistency, making sure every single teacher was updating the logs with the same level of quality and depth rather than just doing a quick copy paste to tick a box. So, moving forward, our next goal is to turn these manual tracking tools into fully automated cloud dashboard. By locking this infrastructure directly into our school policy, we make sure the system outlasts any staff changes, leaving behind a permanent legacy of true inclusion. Now, to conclude, this project proves that when you use instructional leadership intentionally, you do so much more than pass an inspection. You build a lasting collaborative culture where every student can succeed. So, I had no idea that I've been using these frameworks until these were taught in our sessions. So, thank you so much for your time today. I would love to open the floor to any questions you have. Thank you.